Hey, Pyrocore Entertainment fans, listeners, and viewers. As you all know, through Adrenaline Cinema Podcast and Pounds to Pixels Podcast, we have done some key interviews with actors, a director, uh, TV show people. We've had Kevin Smith, we had Mike and Ming from Comic Book Man. I had Patricia Tolman on. I actually did a quick like audio interview with Doug Bradley that never really got aired, but it will be aired soon. But with that, aside from all the fame and glory that goes out there with all the stuff that is in media that all people we do know, we want to show some love to all those people that are out there that are working in the independent world. And with that, we have a friend that's out there that is an independent filmmaker that has done some independent work himself. And with that, we're going to discuss that with our one and only Adam Gonzalez, who has done his own little short film called The Raven. And amongst this particular interview, as you see, for those of you who are watching, we have the cast and some of the crew, and that would be Adam, his actors, and somebody who did the sound. And with that, we're gonna go through with this, and we want you to hear what they have to say, what we're gonna talk about, and then at the very end, and even including in the links, you will have an a teaser trailer link to look at what's going on with this particular short film, The Raven. So with that, I'm gonna leave this in my friend Rob Mota's hands.
Oh boy. I should be the last one to do this. And by the way, you have interviewed all those people? I think I interviewed my mom. That's
Yes.
the extent of what I have done
Yeah.
here. So
Yeah.
I'm new to this game. No, so seriously. So thank you guys so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. As a matter of fact, Adam is definitely a friend of the podcast. He's done several of them with us. Um, Always fun to have him. And Jorge has actually jumped on once in a blue moon. And Chaos has followed that, well, especially with him and Adam on it. So I really
As
appreciate
always.
that. But you know, it's interesting when Adam said that he was doing a short film. I was shocked, and not shocked because I didn't think he could do it. So the way I know Adam is through Best Buy, believe it or not. Adam and I used to work together. As a matter of fact, he was my manager.
Kind of.
But from what I saw in him when he was there, the one of the things that was very interesting was when I saw when he was there, he talked about film, but you could tell this is not for him. He has something else planned that's a lot bigger than this. And when I heard that he went into filmmaking, I was not surprised, and I was actually a little envious because I came also from a film and television background. But that being said, yeah, no, it's I've heard a lot of good things about all the things he has done and all the films that he has actually have done. So for this project, which is led by director Adam Gonzalez of Gilded Harbor Productions, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, and it stars, Gazim. I am gonna get your name wrong, and I am so sorry. How do you pronounce your last name?
Yazim Kamaj.
Gazim Kamaj. Okay, I just wanted to say it right because then I don't want to be the asshole that mispronounces your name. And then I
Don't
have
worry, there
Juliana,
have been many.
and then I have Juliana Slem.
You're
Oh wait,
muted.
you're muted.
You're muted.
Leme?
Sleme.
Sleme. Okay.
Yeah.
Juliana Sleme. Look at that. I pronounced your name wrong. Look at that. And then Glenn Robert Ford, the easiest name out of all of you guys.
Can't mess
That's
that
you.
one
I think you pronounced his middle name wrong.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's
That's
actually
right.
It's Robert.
It's
Yeah.
Robert. Okay.
Glenay Robert 4D.
Listen, I go by Robert in my other job, so but that's another podcast. All right, so the film is already making waves, having been nominated at the Newark Independent Film Festival for Best Art House Short Film and Best Original Score, and it's also set to screen at the Yofi Yonkers International Film Festival and the International Puerto Rican Heritage Film Festival later this year. So yeah, today I'm actually very thrilled to be joined by Adam in the cast. And so, Adam, I'm going to start with you. What first inspired you to adapt Edgar Allan Poe, The Raven, into a short film?
It's a long answer, but let's just say back in 2015 when I visited Edgar Allan Poe's house in the Bronx. So he actually has a few um house museums from like the houses he used to live at. They're throughout the East Coast. But the one closest to me, because I live in New York, is the one in the Bronx in Fordham. Um, that kind of like started sparking the idea of like, oh, I want to like make a movie about his life. But at that time, I didn't have the know-how, the resources, the skills just yet. So I was like, well, wait until it happens. Fast forward 10 years later, um, I've been writing the feature film about his life for the past couple years. And I want to say like this a little bit over a year ago, I realized that I might miss my window to actually do the film during like summertime or fall time because once winter hits, it's a lot harder to like get a film going. So I was like, you know what? If I just took his Raven poem, which is featured in that's going to be featured in the feature film, I'm pretty sure I can get that done in a certain time frame that I can use that as not only as its own standalone short film, but kind of like a precursor to kind of like uh what the feature film may kind of like entail. So I quickly started just adapting that into like a screenplay format. And we moved really quickly. I usually don't like to move that fast on a short film. I like to be way more prepared, but thankfully I've gone through worse scenarios and setups when it comes to film. So um, yeah, so we did casting. I think just for the Lenore part alone, there was like a few dozen actresses, and it was without a shadow of a doubt, Juliana like killed it, like visually, figuratively, and physically in the movie. But yeah, we casted her. Gazim has been part of the project for a very long time, and then Glenn came in super clutch towards the end, and as starred as the Raven. So it was, um, yeah, it just kind of made sense. This is if Edgar Allan Poe was like a singer or a band today, The Raven would be like his hit single. So it's the most like noticeable, poem that he's written. I mean, he has a lot of great work, but like that one is probably the most recognizable. So I figured, you know what? Let's like strike while the iron's hot. Let's get this going. We won't go crazy with it. We'll keep it simple where it needs to be simple. And then yeah, it was it's I'm kind of glad I went that route because it buys me another year or so to like finish up the screenplay for the feature film. But then it kind of gets the word going for this like awesome project that like with such a small cast and crew, it's still just the feedback I've been receiving so far has been really good. So yeah, I'm like super happy with it. I love how it turned out. It gets me working with more individuals. And it starts getting the juices flowing for like the feature film project.
Adam, what's really interesting about this is that you actually have the entire poem recited throughout this entire short. And so still creating something very unique. So I kind of like that. I mean, it had kind of a for especially for the modern audiences. I mean, the fact that you recited that entire thing. So kudos to you. So for you guys, so Gassim, Juliana, Glenn, each of you had to embody characters that come from one of the most iconic works in literature. How did you prepare for these roles?
Who wants to take it away?
Well, now that
I, I,
now that you spoke.
I guess it's gonna be me. The way that I prepared, it started with, well, I guess we could go back all the way to my audition. The audition for Lenore, funny enough, was to say the poem. So I remember, first of all, being really excited because it's not common to see poetry as a material for an audition. which to me it meant I can do things. I don't want to say Shakespeare style, but you know that energy, that like grandiose language and vocal variety and just having fun with such a juicy text that is not like common speech, everyday speech. What are you doing? Hey, can you get the groceries for me? Okay, love you, bye. Like it's so profound and so every little word could be so heavy or so simple. And I played with that a lot for the audition. I did the take. I did two takes, and then I was like, okay, I gotta choose the one and sent it. And then for the callback, they gave me a scene from, I believe, the feature. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a scene that we did in the
Where,
feature.
if I remember correctly, was it Virginia? No.
It was another an early love interest, Elmira, his like high school
That's right.
sweetheart.
Yeah, yeah. And so I did those two for the callback. And so once it came to when it came to the time that I had to like actually prepare for the role is when I did the research. That's when I found out who Virginia, who Elmira, and who Lenore really was inspired by. These two women, possibly more. It's debated a lot. And I'm sure Adam can go a lot more further with that actually. Um, I did research, and then when it came to Lenore is a memory, right? So I couldn't just make Lenore her own person in a way, because she is in the poem the memory of someone. So it is through the lens of the writer, of the poet. So there's a lot of moments that you see Lenore really, really beautiful and like with this like veil of purity and just like this beautiful woman that was in Poe's life. And then eventually it's, her death. It couldn't just be like, I don't know, some random girl. When we tend to remember our loved ones that have passed away, it is through the lens of that person. So in a way, and we talked about it, me and Adam, um, it is kind of polished. It is a polished version of these people. It's not the real them, you know? And so we had to play with that a little bit. And I don't really talk a lot. I say two lines. I'm just really in flashbacks. But the two lines I say are Lenore and Nevermore. And those were cool scenes, cool moments that we shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually to add to that, that the reason why we did the audition that way, where the first audition was like it was like two parts actually. It was just looking into the camera and like going through like different emotions, and then the other part was an excerpt from the Raven poem. And um I just wanted to see like how much acting can come out from someone who doesn't say anything, because that was going to be like the direction we go with the with the actual short film. So um it turns out that's like partly apparently a lot harder than just getting something with words. So from at least from the feedback, they're like, yeah, that was actually not easy to do, because yeah, you're not memorizing lines, but now you're like hyper focused on your face
Emoting.
emotions. Yeah. And it's actually funny, like in real life, people, it's not like people like don't want to cry. They don't want, like, they actually hold back, and it's only until like it hit its peak that it starts to come out. So that's kind of like what I was looking for, or what we were looking for when we were casting, and like you and Leona like hit it like exactly. I could have just taken her audition, just put that in the movie. Like that's how like good it was. But yeah, you hit everything right in the head. Yeah, it's like this like it's a very selective memory because it's from Poe's perspective. So, he's
Yeah.
gonna choose what he remembers about her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it
I
lands
mean,
well.
Nice.
for me, it was going through the poem a lot, and uh, after my like third or fourth, maybe even fifth read through and practice in my home, I started to realize that each word in each line could potentially be its own line, because the way that he spoke, the way that he wrote, there was such power behind everything. And it was just a matter of figuring out how to make it as mystique or grandiose as possible, but capturing all the emotion and then a little mixture of channeling my own emotions to match what I felt he may have been feeling while he was writing this. And I feel like it helped.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
that was a very long shoot date. We'll get into that, but that was yeah, because they went through it.
And as for me, I mean, I didn't have much dialogue. I just kept saying the same
Never
word.
mind.
I felt like Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy. But I'm a dark, ominous um, presence. So I channeled my energy and my mannerisms from like boogeymen of horror movies or
Mm.
something like a Darth, like a Sith character of Star Wars or something like that. So I tapped into those references regarding my character, the Raven. And Adam is just a genius when it comes to attention and detail.
It's very great.
Appreciate it.
Adam, it's funny because when I remember when you spoke about Edgar Allan Poe, I try to remember to see if there was any kind of a movie that has ever been done about him, and I couldn't recall of any. There's been a lot of works of him.
It's
So my question to you
yeah,
is, how do you try to keep something like this fresh when you had things like, especially like the Fall of the House of Usher, which actually
that was
was
great.
yeah, that was a very great show. And so I was just wondering, and of course, there've been, anything from things that have been inspired by, Edgar Allan Poe, like, everything from The Black Cat, The Pit and the Pendulum, I believe, and The Mask of the Red Death. And
Yes,
so I'm
it's
just wondering,
Telltale Heart too is another one.
yeah.
yeah. So I'm just
It
wondering how you think that, hey, finally Edgar Allan Poe will be the focus of this, and how do you keep that fresh, and how do you keep that kind of like I'm not gonna say competing with everything else, but to try to bring a new light to that.
So majority of the time, people make movies about his poems. So it has
Right.
nothing to do with him. It's because he and what's funny is that he's known for his horror stuff, but like he actually wrote a lot of like romance and comedy and but it's just over the years, with the whole telephone game, he wound up becoming like I want to say stereotype, but like he wound up becoming more popular through like the gothic realm, which listen, if that's what's held over time for people to get into his work, so be it. But in the more like late, in our generation, yeah, most of the stuff that they make is based off of his poetry. The only two instances that he was actually, from what I understand, that he was on screen was The Raven, which was with John Cusack, but which I was like really looking forward to seeing because this was during the time I was already working on a version of a Poe movie. And I'm like, oh, great. Well, someone else is going to do it. So I probably won't have to do this movie anymore. And then, especially with the way it was promoted, I was like, oh, this feels like it's going to be a movie about his life. But it wasn't. It was a made up story about um, a detective who was catching a killer who was inspired by Edgar's poems to recreate murders. So they brought in Edgar as like a unique perspective to the case to help solve the mystery, which never ever happened. Um, so he was almost like I don't know,
Sherlock for himself.
kind of. Which, funny enough, Sherlock Holmes was inspired by Edgar's detective story. He was the first person to create the detective genre, but that's another fun fact. But yeah, so I would say this: the way John Cusack played Edgar Allan Poe, I thought was brilliant. It was great. I felt like he was. I felt like if he was just in a different movie, it would have been bananas. But yeah, I still like the movie, but me knowing how much I know about Edgar Allan Poe, I pick up some of the small details they put in there, but they're not obvious enough for just like a regular person who knows nothing about Edgar Allan Poe. So you don't really learn about his life and his tragedies and his work. Um, I guess it's a cool play on like a what if scenario, but it's not a movie about him. The second thing that comes to mind is the Netflix limited series called The Pale Blue Eye with Christian Bale. So Christian Bale goes to a cadet military camp, and at that camp is a young Edgar Allan Poe who's in the army. And again, he's helping him solve a murder. I don't know why he's always helping solve a murder. Like, I guess that's a reoccurring theme. Again, they drop like, little tidbits and facts about him, but like it's not about him. He's always like a B character, but they always promote it as if like he's the main reason, which I get it. You're trying to get your audience to come see this. That is not the direction I'm gonna go with the feature film. It's about Edgar Allan Poe. He's in every single shot, every single scene. Even in this short film, he's 95% of the movie, even though like in reality, the Raven, the protagonist, has no name. It's not Edgar Allan Poe, but we approached it as if it was Edgar reminiscing about Virginia, who was his real life wife, but she was being played as Lenore. So lots of layers, but yeah, so I'm still in a very unique position where there still has not been a movie made about him. I do know that Sylvester Stallone has been trying for years to make an Edgar Allan Poe movie, so much that when he was super young, he wrote it so that he can star in it, but now he's aged out of it, and he's been trying to make that movie for I I don't know. I think I've even seen a YouTube video where someone read like an early draft, and it's very chronological life death type of thing. It's not, it's like the version I'm working on is completely different, but even like the Raven that we shot is a very different take, because people have done variations of the Raven as well because it's his most popular poem. um but yeah, I mean, even The Simpsons, they were like one of the first ones to do it, with Homer and then Bart coming in as the Raven. That was that's my introduction to Edgar Allan Poe, was because of The Simpsons. That was the first time I've learned about him, and then ever since then, it's been downhill from there. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
it
so
seems like the Simpsons are responsible for a lot of things in the last
there's
30
yeah,
years.
it's yeah, they're predicting the future. But yeah, I think I feel like I'm in a unique scenario with not only the Raven short film, but with the potential feature film. No one's really like showcasing him as a person, which is what the Raven kind of is. Like I feel like out of all his poems, the Raven is like the one piece of work that summarizes like his happiness, grief, pain, and death all in one poem. Um, so that's why I kind of felt like this was like the perfect piece to work on as a short film, because like if I've never worked on anything else, you kind of get like a nice summary of like the pain that he goes through and how he
Right.
visualizes it. So yeah, so he has a very interesting life, and this is just like the start of it.
Yeah, no, and let me tell you, I mean, since the poem does deal like with grief, madness, and that haunting presence of death, um, how the hell did you, put all that into a 15-minute short? How were you able to just, put those heavy emotions into that?
Well, thankfully, because we didn't decide to like change the words, which is another thing that they like to do to modernize his poetry, um, I just followed what he said, and we just kind of rode with the waves. Even when we were filming Juliana, I just put like some super sad music in the studio, and then I had her talking to the camera, and she was just in character, even though you don't know what she's saying. Everything that she was saying was something that she could have been we could have heard on screen.
Mm.
So it was a lot of just like feeling the emotions. It's just, yeah, I mean, I don't want to explain their emotions. I'll let you guys explain how you got into it, but um yeah, I think it was just tapping into like just to make it authentic. That's it. Like for me, it was authenticity. I didn't want to make it feel modern. I didn't want it to feel like I filmed it today, as close as small of a budget and production it was. I still wanted it to feel like all I did was just bring the camera to the 1800s and you were just watching what was happening. So that was like my main goal.
Right. So, Gassim, you in particular carry pretty much of the film's emotional weight as post grief and madness, intensifying and everything. Uh, what was the most challenging aspect of portraying that descent?
It was hard to just accept that whatever it was the take was good enough because I'm like, you're stepping into some big shoes. I am playing Edgar Allan Poe and I am trying to reenact one of his most famous poems. Am I doing this right? Am I angry enough? Am I sad enough? Am I crazy enough? All these things were running through my mind the entire time. I can't like that was my exact feeling and emotion. That's why I was able to just answer that question. It was Adam, you remember, we were like kind of like going at it. It took us
Yeah.
quite some time. Like I got there before the sun came up, and I left when the sun went down
Yeah.
to your basement. So um, it was just it was tough to accept that whatever I did was good enough. Like what would Poe say? um,
Yeah.
and also, trying to channel whatever emotional weight or experience that I went through in the past couple of years, just trying to relate that to the feelings and perform it to the best of my ability.
Yeah, it was a long shoot day. I think Juliana, we had for the 15 minutes of footage that I captured of her, we got that in, was it 4 hours?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
three,
something
4.
3 4 hours. Um, Many costume changes, and and she goes through her emotional journey too. Like we get all the happy moments, then some of like the timid moments, and then obviously like the darker moments at the end. And then the same thing happened with Kazim. His was over a 10-hour shoot day. So I think even like
Wow.
Ooh.
the the day itself probably played a role in in his performance with just how
Oh yeah,
heavy.
that's
Um,
huh.
yeah, that was especially like that very last part. I think I made him like yell like 50 times. I was like, again, again. It was just over and over again. But like again, like we were just pushing it to the max. And then even Glenn, he came through and even again, not limiting his role, but that was a 4 hour shoot day. It was it still took like, we had to keep his shots interesting. His voice was even altered to make it sound like deeper, more horror, more scary. So it didn't sound like there was a person there. It was more like a being that was there. Um, and fun fact, the original plan was to get all three actors at the same time, but due to like scheduling and other circumstances, I had to film everybody separate, but still make it feel like they were in the same movie. So far nobody has picked up on it. When they see the movie, I'm like, did you realize that they were not together? They're like, what do you mean? They were together. I'm like, nope, go back and look at it. There was never a shot that they were in the same shot ever.
Movie
There was
magic.
definitely a demon in your basement that day for
Yeah.
sure. Your
Yeah.
basement's haunted, so it helped.
Which is where I'm at right now in this
It's
podcast.
so funny because I wasn't going to ask that. There's sometimes, sometimes there's a lot of movies out there that you hear about, strange things that go on set. So, Gazim, you're saying that strange things were happening on set, or is this
No.
just you joshing?
No, so I'm just teasing him because he really turned his basement into a
Yeah.
19th century cabin.
Yeah.
And we did some cool stuff, and I'll let Adam talk about it, but like we turned a TV into a window, and yeah, it was crazy. Like if you could just walk in there and feel it, and we set the mood, and yeah, just channeled it. Adam coached me through it. Like, listen, I feel like this is what he may have been feeling at this time. I feel like you should do it this way and say it this way. And that's what we did. We did a few different. We put together a couple of options, but ultimately, I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to see it yet, or not. But that's the finished product.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam is the filmmaker's MacGyver. He can take a paperclip and turn it into a movie prop, man. This guy, like I said, he's a genius, man.
Smart of
Well,
desperation and being cheap. But
Yeah.
hey,
Gotta
listen,
do what you
I've
gotta
known
do.
many directors and stuff like that that have made amazing sets out of like just absolute garbage. And you walk in and you go, wait a minute, wasn't this garbage a few days
I
ago?
mean,
Now all of a sudden
look at this.
this.
one of the only reasons why I did it is if you can kind of see in the back over here, I have like this stone wall. That is the only reason why I decided to do in this basement. I'm like, okay, 1/4 of my basement already qualifies as an 1800s thing. I was like, I just need to cover the other 3/4. And that was months of going to thrift stores, buying furniture and utensils and cutlery. And then I can't even take it here, but I have like this thing that holds my Yoda skull over here. Um, just all this stuff, and then buying all the wardrobe. That was another thing,
Hmm.
coordinating with the actors, getting wardrobe, and it was just it's a lot harder doing a period piece. I would say that. Like, if you want to make a movie, make a modern movie. It's a lot easier. It's because people could just show up with their clothes. Doing something from like the 1800s is not easy because everything changes, and that's another thing. With this movie, I had to keep the shots a little bit more medium close up because there's still things in my basement that I can't show on screen that would give away that it's modern. So if I hopefully in the future, I get like a full blown location that's more period accurate, I can do something that's wider and more establishing shots, but um between the lighting and the set decoration and everything, I think it sold the atmosphere. But actually, the studio that we went to in Queens when
Yeah.
Juliana filmed, there's not a lot of options. So I just had to find something that had hardwood floors. That's all I was like, that's the most I can hope for. And then I think I brought like a stand for like curtains. They magically somehow had like a very antique looking sofa. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that's a free prop. I brought in a rug. They said you can't burn candles. I burned candles anyway. Um, yeah, just you got to break the rules when you can. So, but again, none of that matters if like the performance doesn't sell it. And I would just hope that by bringing all that, it just helps create more of a space for the actors to get more in tune with the character, so they feel like more in place. So, and I felt like I got the performances I was looking for, if not more out of that. So,
Fantastic, man. And by the way, I do that screaming every day, so but that's another podcast. Um, so one of the striking things about this film is its atmosphere. And so the flickering candlelights, like you were saying, the period setting, and of course the score. So Adam and George, can you talk about how you approach the music and sound design to capture the gothic tone of this movie or this short?
he also goes by Jorge.
Jorge, I'm so sorry,
It
man.
could be
It's all
Jorge.
right.
I would say
He
Jorge.
Your hay, it's a soft J. So depends what we want to go for. Um, yeah, so for the music, Adam, as he mentioned before, wanted authenticity. And so had sent me he had sent me the short film with Moonlight Sonata in the background. And he said, I want to go for something like this. And I'm like, well, speaking about big shoes to fill, right? We have Poe, now we have Beethoven. So trying to figure out how to do that. Um, what my approach was, I'm thinking, okay, we want to keep things late classical, early romantic period. So I started to basically look up some of my old music history notes and look up some progressions that I could use and kind of emulate, not necessarily copy all of Moonlight Sonata and copy that exact progression, but at least get the chords that are close to it, maybe put in a different key, right? Maybe arpeggiate it in a different way so that we can still get that feeling of that late classical period, um, but not have it be a direct copy of anything. And the other kind of inspiration that I had too for this, because we're thinking gothic, we're thinking, horror and scary. And I think around the time that we were talking about all this stuff, Nosferatu had just come out.
Ah.
And so I use that as well to kind of say to myself, all right, what can I do for strings? Maybe there's something I can do to make some haunting strings that go in the background, or maybe some clusters of strings. I didn't necessarily want to do exactly Nosferatu with these crescendo strings that get really, really sharp.
Hmm.
But I wanted to at least do something similar to that, just because we do want to make it spookier, especially as the movie goes along. We wanted the music to kind of intensify.
Hmm. So you wanted more tone within it, but you were going for more gothic dulcet tones, very dark, but also giving the feel and empathy towards certain characters. Now, did you use any vocalization? What type of equipment were you using? Mostly keyboard based work, or did you sample things?
Yeah, so it's mostly keyboard. I mean, I programmed a lot of it, so it's mostly keyboard. The strings I programmed as well. I don't think there's any live instruments. I tried to make them sound as live as possible. I always try to do whatever I can to make it sound like a realistic performance. Logic is great for as a program in terms of having sounds and be able to recreate something that sounds very authentic. Um, but yeah, everything in terms of the piano parts, strings, I programmed that. And then Adam took some of those sounds and maybe he reversed it, or maybe he did something to give it more of like a delay or a reverb to give it like an echo. Uh, so I don't know if you want to speak on that part of it, on the changes that you made, but I know that Adam had done a bunch of stuff as well to kind of increase that dark ambience feeling.
Yeah, so two things. One, usually, for almost every single one of the films I've worked on, I usually make the music first, way before even filming, because I get inspired by music. For every single movie I've ever written or made, it's come from a piece of music that either I came up with or I got inspired by. So this is one of actually the first films, because it was so last minute, that we didn't have the music. I mean, me and Jorge have been working on the side for, we're building a playlist for the feature film, so we took a lot of inspiration from that. So we were able to borrow, but then obviously we needed something very specific for this specific short film. So, um, yeah, I took some of like the Foley made tracks that he already made, and then I also took it apart and then messed around with a lot of stuff to make it more like ambient sounds or like atmospheric sounds, and so that even when you're hearing something that's not like the main music is still influencing other parts of the movie. And fun fact, Juliana also sings in the movie. She has a very haunting melody that comes up a few times. And it's a little innuendo or a little Easter egg, I should say, to like the real character that is inspired by Virginia, Edgar's wife, who was a singer, and her the first time that she actually got sick and like coughed up blood was in the middle of her singing to like an audience. So this was like a little bit of like a homage to that. Um, but yeah, and again, kudos to Juliana. Like I was just like, hey, remember how I said you were done filming? Not so much. I need you to sing some stuff for me. And I think I even sent you like a vocal booth so that you can have like a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
sent over a vocal booth so she could do it in her house and everything. So
yeah.
but it was great. She gave me like like many takes that I can use, and I incorporating that with Jorge's sounds and then my sound. It blended in very well with each other. Um, and it breaks up the story pretty well, so that, because again there's a lot of reciting from Gazim's character, so having like that little break of like with the music and the vocals and then him reenacting it doesn't make I at least I don't feel like it makes the film stale throughout the whole thing.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was I love music. Like for me, if you can watch a movie with just the visuals and the music and still understand the story, that means you did a really good job. I just feel like speaking is just like, that's just like a extra condiment. I prefer the music and the visuals to carry it through. And if people can still follow it without like hearing anything that they're saying, then that means that the dialogue is just gonna go a little bit deeper. But
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you put Benny Hill or like some sort of circus music to Titanic, it makes it a totally different movie, right?
That is true.
It'll
So it
make a
really
really
does.
bad comedy.
It would be the most dark comedy.
Yeah,
if you were to do
that is
that.
true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like Adam mentioned, though, because of his love for music, and he's a drummer too. He hasn't mentioned it yet, but because he is also musically inclined, it helps me come up with ideas as well. Because a lot of times, as I mentioned, he'll give me a good reference, or he'll just say like, I think for a previous movie that we did, he's like, here are 4 notes. Figure out something to do with these 4 notes. I'm like, I got you, fam. So, so he gives me something to work with, and I can go ahead and come up with something.
Oh,
Well,
That's
and
awesome.
Oh.
adding to that, Gazim is also well, actually, Gazim and Glenn, they're writers. So I felt like including them in this project will probably hit a little bit closer to home. You know, Glenn's a poet. Gazim, he raps, he writes, and I feel like they're kind of like modern day versions of Poe, like in spirit. So I don't want to speak on your connections, but I personally I felt like that was a part of the reason why it was great having them both on this project, because I feel like they can appreciate the person they were trying to, showcase here.
Big
Um,
time.
and Edgar Allan Poe was definitely like he was definitely the epitome of a struggling artist in every way possible. And again, we're independent artists here. We probably have day jobs and night jobs to pay for the filmmaking work. So, we're all just struggling to like make art. And yeah, and I would hope that like this film kind of like resonates with everyone on that like struggle to like, with their involvement, in the film.
Oh
Right.
yeah, I mean, if you know his story, he gets the short end of the stick literally in every chapter of his life. And it's like the artist that's trying to pitch his album to one label and then getting told to beat it and going to another label and getting told scram. And it's definitely something that the struggling artist can resonate with, but also something that the passionate artist can resonate with as well. I mean, I fell in love with literature and writing in grade school, and that's when I learned about Edgar Allan Poe. Um, the music, I guess, was always like a part of my life, but totally, I, I love every like if this is the last thing I ever do, I'm always gonna say I was Poe.
That's
Don't you
interesting.
poet?
Again, it sounds like my life. That's why I told Adam, "Hey, man, if you want me to audition as a Dominican version of Edgar Allan Poe, absolutely."
Yeah.
What was it we
Eduardo Alan Poe.
Poe?
Ándale.
That's right.
So,
And
I
remember-
grew up by the house too, so I mean, I'm from the Bronx, born and raised, so it's cool.
Sorry, you can be part of the Los Spookies if you. By the way, that show also kind of inspires me for a lot of this stuff too, because I am a metalhead. I'm very gothic at heart, so this project was a lot of fun to work on.
Awesome. And Adam, I understand, and you mentioned, I think, a little bit of this before, that most of the film is lit in actual beeswax candles to preserve the authenticity of glow of the time period. Why was that
Yeah.
level of authenticity so important to you?
I mean, you can tell on camera when you're using like only LED lights and everything, it just looks too polished. It looks too clean. Um, there's just something about like even like when there's a candle that's like near you, just you moving, the wind reacts to it a certain way. So it's just not the same. Like I mean, not that I only used it, but all the main lighting sources was candles. That's why I had boxes of them. I did
Yeah.
extensive research on candles. I'm like a candle expert. Because you can't just get any candle.
Yeah.
You want to avoid candles that have scents because I don't want us to die and get like lung cancer. Secondly, different candles burn for different lengths of time and at different brightnesses. So basically what I did was I was like, okay, what were the candles they used at that time? Back
This
then they
guy's an
had
expert. I love
beeswax.
it.
My man
Yeah.
went down the rabbit hole of candles.
Oh my God, you don't understand.
He is
Aficionado, you connoisseur, you.
My Amazon shopping cart is very weird.
I'm going to you now. You you did it to
Hey,
yourself, brother.
He loves candles, the smell of
I
it,
love
the
candles.
texture.
I love
Oh my
gold.
God.
I'm hitting you up at 2 o'clock in the morning, like, yo, man, I got stuck between this candle and this candle. Which one do you prefer?
Oh man,
Wow.
Adam, you can add another title to your name, candleologist.
Candleologist. Yeah.
Candleologist.
he could prepare your romantic dinner with your
That's it.
Yeah.
Can
I
you,
think
Hey,
I'm
Adam,
finally
what do you
can you
think?
see Adam trying? Can you
It's
see
good?
Adam trying to go into like a restaurant and all of a sudden he just pops two candles on a table
Yeah.
for a couple?
I got it.
Let's see.
Hey, Adam, what do you think? It's
Good
good?
candle.
That's an LED. No, man. Get that garbage out of here.
Listen, I have this gothic candlestick. Which candle do you think will go best with the gothic look of this candlestick
I thought
here?
that was a bong.
Yeah, same here.
No, it's actually
Honestly, though,
I got this at a gothic antique shop, which is really cool.
hold on to it. I might need it for the movie.
Yes.
You doing a Buffy movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, man,
Um,
it's crazy. It's just, but what I wound up landing with was natural honey beeswax candles with a certain wick that was thick enough so that I needed to be bright. Because the last thing I want is to have too many candles on because it's dangerous to have enough light. So I was trying to find the right candle that burned bright enough where I didn't have to light up multiple candles. So if you look throughout, all the candles are real. There is no fake candles at all in the film. The only time I used an LED light was simulated moonlight coming from a window. So there was always like a back edge lit color. And I did have like this small. Do I have it here? I always have lights everywhere. Yeah. Why would I have it anywhere else? I got all my lights here. I would use a light like this just to kind of like do a little bit of a kicker if it was just a little bit too dark and I just couldn't position something because these have like a candle mode, but it was just more of like a fill. But yeah, all the candles are real. It's not safe because I'm filming in the dark. I tripped a
I got
lot.
the same ones. You bought them for me.
I bought them for you as a gift, so I should have bought you candles. So
Yeah. Cheapskate.
yeah. But yeah, it was like a couple boxes of candles because I had to use it I used some with Juliana, then I used it with Glenn, and then I used them with Kazim. So I burned through a lot of candles. But I have like boxes of candlestick holders and wall sconces and so it's yeah, I mean listen, that's probably the route I'm gonna go with the feature film as well. You know, it just looks different. Like you could just tell it feels like you can get burned with the movie, if that makes sense. Like you can feel that the flame is on the screen. And it just looks so good. I did test shots with myself a whole year before in my basement using LED candles, fake battery lit candles, and it's actually harder because no one fake candle looks the same in brightness and in color temperature. So unless I bought like boxes of the same candle, hoping that those LEDs look the same, it wouldn't work. So it actually made my
Right.
life easier just getting beeswax candles. I just had to get a lot of them and not burn my house down. So that's the only two things I have to worry about.
I
Nice.
actually have a question for you, Adam, regarding
Yeah.
the atmosphere. Now, music aside and visuals aside, within the movie, what did you use for Foley work? Did you do any additional sound effects within the shots other than just the music and the visual itself to add into that mystery and feel?
Yeah, I did most of the Foley work myself. Like when you hear the the drink pouring into the cup. There's a shot where he's burning a sugar cube. We're
Mhm.
making this absinthe drink. Um, Obviously, I can't like rec- put a microphone very close to a flame because I'm going to burn it. So I
Yes.
actually just modified someone making like scrambled eggs, and, and that was the sound of the sugar cube burning. Um, and then yeah, and then just like walking around my room with like boots on because he actually wasn't wearing any shoes because I didn't want to capture that on the screen. I wanted to put that after the fact. So,
Huh.
but I had to like edit the whole movie first, then figure out where the Foley had to land, and then record those separately. That's actually the fun part because like I could do that in my pajamas. Like I could just just walk around my house. Like I tell my wife like, shh, don't say anything. I got to open the door. Just like record the door opening. So it's just me walking around my house, like getting like random objects and sounds, and it's actually kind of fun. You just walk around with a recorder and you do all that stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, to me, that's like when I'm at that stage, all the hard work is already done.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
know.
putting like the
It's just
final
sweetening
touches.
the
So
pot.
I like when I'm at that point because I'm like, oh, all the headache stuff is already done. Um, but yeah, the funny thing about that with Gazim's character, um, he did so it's funny. This character has like two vocal styles that's going on. It's what he's actually saying on screen where I'm filming him, and then his inner dialogue of what he's saying to himself. So we filmed all the on-camera stuff one day, and then Gazim in his home studio did a whole separate session, just him doing the inner monologue and making sure that matched the tone and style and rhythm with the stuff we recorded on camera. So it was a little more technical than anything, because sometimes in some of the iterations that they've made this poem, the person just says what he's thinking, and it's kind of weird. So I think it adds to the madness, the inner monologue that kind of goes on.
Adding feeling into the character itself,
Yeah.
and how it's presented through dialogue. Yeah.
It was
Nice.
it was pretty cool. I mean, and it's rare that you get something that you get to hear what the person is thinking versus what they're saying, because it's always two different things. It's never No one ever reveals what they're really thinking, and what they say is kind of like it's just like a fluffed up version of what they want the person to know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to kind of see both things happening at the same time. And Gazim's voice is very, like, he needs to pursue voice acting, because his voice is very, it's like a hot bowl of chocolate. It's just you want to eat his voice. Yeah. If I haven't told you that already, Gazim, I want to eat your voice.
It melts in your mouth.
Jesus.
That's the first.
Nice.
Oh my god, you're such an idiot. Oh, I love you. By the way, Jorge, Adam, and I all work together. So
Yeah.
this and way worse is how we would just pass time
Oh yeah, this is
at
nothing.
work.
Yeah.
But there was something what Adam mentioned about how people do, like, when they're saying what they're saying on screen, and what they're saying like as a monologue or whatever, inner monologue. Believe it or not, what I kind of like paid a little bit attention to, not studied, but like, I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good idea, was Joe Pesci in Casino. And it was pretty cool because his voice, his inner monologue was like on par with what his emotions were in the scenes a little bit. And if you watch the movie, his inner monologue gets cut off at the end when they start killing him in the cornfield, when they whack him, because his inner monologue is a part of it. It's not just he's not narrating his death, like that's him and himself. So it was like pretty cool. And not to say that it was like an inspiration, but it gave me some good idea. That's all.
Yeah.
Nice. So, guys, so when audiences finish watching The Raven, what do you hope lingers with them the most? And I want to hear from every one of you. So, what's the feeling or thought you most want viewers to carry out of the theater?
Well, I know for me, definitely having the music be authentic to the period, to that 19th century, that late classical, early romantic style. Just because I feel like there's a lot of times where people do period pieces, and then a modern song kind of gets thrown in, or maybe they'll do a classical version of a modern song. And depending on the show, it can fit really, really well. But for something like this, that is supposed to be very heavy, very gothic, very, very ambient, I feel like keeping the music authentic to the time period really puts you into that time period, really connecting you to the characters. And as I said, just setting that true gothic tone.
I hope they appreciate the presentation, the authenticity, the attention to detail, and the emotion of the story.
I hope people get inspired by it, and piques their interest into learning a little bit about some of the older writers, and seeing that no story or struggle is new under the sun, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I want them to walk away with grief. I'm kidding. Not grief. Um, Crying. No, I think I was debating when you asked if I should say hope, because I don't know if there is a lot of hope in this poem, right? But I think there is a bit of wonder, curiosity, definitely fear, and after all of that comes hope. So I hope audiences that watch, anybody who goes through grief and the loss of someone or something, some idea, they're able to go through this process, this grief, this fear, this emptiness, and come out the other way and not end up the way Poe ended. Yeah.
Would you say there was a lot of depth of feeling overall within these characters, and that's what you feel like you want presented? Like they feel the grief. The viewer is actually feeling what those people have felt, and it's just feeling. Sometimes grief, you feel alive at times, even though it feels like true death.
Mhm.
Yeah, it makes you feel all of these raw. It's like so unfiltered, so raw.
Okay.
There's no scene in which we really portray that, and I think we did that purposely because, especially with my character Lenore, she's so beautified, like she's so like I said, polished. I feel like if we were to do the version where Virginia, we see her in her deathbed, she would not look as good. The lighting would not be as pretty. I feel like like the vibe would be a little more rotten, a little more grimy, and like more real,
Mhm.
less in Fantasyland. And so when I was going through it, when I was filming it, I just remember I go through like opposed to Edgar Allan Poe, Gassim's character, where he like it's kind of all in the same day. I had to go through periods of time. So very happy, enjoying life, you know, um, being cutesy and adorable with my husband or talking about things that I'm interested in. There's a moment I'm reading a book. And then slowly go through, I'm coughing blood. Life is changing because of that. She's sick now to the point of, oh, there's no coming back. And that those are big chunks of time that we're just like skipping through. Um, and then she appears, what I would think when we did it, like she's dead, like her ghost appears in a way,
Yeah.
and that is fully fictional, right? That is the fear, that is the it's both the hope to see her again, but also the fact that the last time we saw her, or this character saw her in life, she was probably decaying in her own bed, and so this is the view of fear and hope together.
Yeah.
And I hope that we embody that. That's when I say my one line. I think it's Lenore or Nevermore. Which one is it?
Both.
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 I say both.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did two takes. Yeah. So
You
I
forgot your
just
line
it's
already, huh?
I
She had
know
two.
it's
She had two. I had one. She had
I
two.
know I am terrible, guys. So yeah, that's what I mean. It's just I know I went through it doing it. There's like some grief that I tried to portray, beautified. But yeah, it's profound, I think.
Well, thank you. I want to thank you guys so much for coming on here
Thanks for having
and
us.
sharing,
Yes,
and
thank
Thank
sharing
you
the
you.
for
story.
having us on.
Yeah, showing you the story behind the Raven. So for listeners who want to experience the film out there, you can check out their teaser trailer, the full story, and learn more through the film's website, Instagram page, and IMDb profile. We'll have all those links in the show notes. As for Poe himself wrote, deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there wondering and fearing. So thankfully, with this film, that darkness has been captured and brought us vividly through life.
Mm.
I would like to know what do you guys have next? Going on for yourselves. Any interesting projects for you guys individually?
I'm currently working on my third short film, which is based on a true story. Adam is on board as my cinematographer and producer. We are currently in the crowdfunding phase. We have the entire crew and cast and location. It's just a matter of paying everyone now. So
Awesome.
And you, Juliana?
I am going on tour. I'm doing it's a Day of the Dead play. I'm Mexican. So I'm doing a play that is mostly for children, but it's a Day of the Dead story, musicalized, with a lot of culture, a lot of fandango, zapateo, all that good stuff. It's really beautiful. Today was my second day of rehearsal, and then we leave on the 28th. So it's very few days of rehearsal. I'm really excited. And yeah, hopefully we'll come to one of the cities some of the listeners are in. If they want to check it out, they can come to my profile, Juliana's Limit. Check it out. It's pretty cool. Good for kids.
Awesome. And Jasim, how about you?
Yeah, I took a little, not an intentional hiatus, but I had a lot going on. I just recently got married and we were planning that out, and there was just a whole bunch
Congratulations.
going on. Thank you.
congratulations, brother.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Congrats.
much. So, there was a lot going on and I couldn't focus on my creative side, but yeah, I'm working on some new music, and of course I'm a part of the Gilded Harbor family for life. So I'm constantly working on ideas with Adam, and we'll be uh, putting boots on the ground and for that Poe feature film. But yeah, I'm working on a lot of stuff, and if you want to check out some of the stuff that I have, you could find me on Instagram. My handle is Zimfinite. It's like infinite, but it's Zimfinite.
Zinfandel, but Zinfinite. There you go.
Yeah, and my artist name is my full name. So
Awesome.
Fantastic. And Jorge, how about you?
Yeah, so I have a friend of mine who started his own music sync library, basically meaning that if, let's say, ESPN or I don't know, some sort of brand needed a song for a commercial or something on TV, we get opportunities that come in that say, "Hey, we need songs that are this certain emotion, this certain style, whatever," and we can just submit to these opportunities. Um, so I'm always doing stuff like that, working for them. I have some songs already up on there. So if anybody's part of those bigger companies and looking for music, or if you just need music in general, it doesn't matter, who it is. Just look up Made by Us. That's the name. So I'm always doing stuff for them and working on music that way. I know we're going to have to do music for the feature film at some point. So taking some of the ideas that we've already done for Raven and expanding on those. So I'm excited to work on that. And I am also writing my own music and trying to work on starting a band, more hard rock, heavy metal. That's my style. So also just working on those things. If you want to see any of it, you can go to Jorge Naranjo Music, or Jorge Naranjo Music.
bless
And
you.
that's, yes, thank you. And yeah, you can just find me on Instagram,
Nice.
TikTok, and all that fun stuff. Yeah.
And Adam, the filmmaker and the pretty much the mind behind all this. What do you have next?
Well, we're currently going through the film festival stages with The Raven. We've already been in one over the summer, and we have two more coming up in November. Some pretty good film festivals, and I'm sure we're going to get into some more going into the new year. But while that's happening, finishing the tail end on the script for the feature film, and then hoping to crowdfund and then get everything up and running for the spring of next year, if life doesn't throw any curveballs. Um, but yeah, that's kind of like all my efforts is just Poe. I sleep, eat, breathe, everything Poe. My wife is really annoyed by it, but she appreciates it. Yeah, I mean, on top of all these other movie ideas, but that's like the main thing right now. It's just uh, putting the Raven out there, getting it to as many screens as possible. At some point, we'll make it public on YouTube once we finish the film festival run. Um, and then, yeah, if they want to find out more about all the projects, including this one, they could just follow Gilded Harbor on Instagram or go to the website. We post all of our stuff there, and we have links to everyone who I've worked with here. They're also on the website as well, so they can find out more about the cast and crew and everything that they're working on. And yeah, and then also working with you guys on podcasts. We do a lot of a lot of movie talk on this podcast. So,
Yeah.
which is
That
fun.
we do.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much once again for being on here and sharing your stories. We really appreciate it, and we wish you all the luck in the world. And I hope everybody goes to gets a chance to see the short, and we hope to see of course, the film come alive. And with that, I have Mark take it away.
And with that, actually, I just want to thank Adam, Ileana, Jorge, Glenn, Kazim for being on, talking about your experience with doing The Raven, the short film, everything that your experiences were with while filming, and your love for the craft that you're doing. With that, for you listeners and viewers of Pyrocore Entertainment, as well as Adrenaline Cinema Podcast, I want to thank you for listening and viewing, and for you to keep up with what we are continuing to do here on Pyrocore Entertainment. All you have to go to is our website, which I am in the following. I'm actually been doing work, everybody. So all you have to do is go to pyrocoreentertainment.com, and then you could click on all the links, Panels to Pixels podcast, Adrenaline Cinema podcast, and what's on tonight. And if you still want to be interested in listening to what's on Fantasy Picks Movie Edition, which Adam and Rob and myself were on, it's still available on Spotify, so you could still listen to those conversations and those podcasts. If you want to leave any feedback, just send them to pyrocoreentertainment.com, or you could go there and there'll be a link. But you could you could just email us at pyrocoreentertainment@gmail.com. For Adrenaline Cinema podcast@gmail.com. There are all the links on the website. Just follow them, subscribe, do that cool stuff that you always do. And with that, I just want to thank everybody for listening and viewing. Have a good night. And please click on the links for these people. Follow and check them out. We'll talk to you guys later. And like on Adrenaline Cinema Podcast, as we all say, we'll see you guys when we change to the next reel. Bye bye.
Have a good night, guys.
Night, guys.